All right, Dip.
Okay.
How you doing, mate?
Dipperoo.
So on the wonderful platform that we're on now, Facebook, they've copped a bit of heat of late.
Classic.
Don't say anything bad about Facebook or they won't make
Seriously,
disappear on
that's
anyone's
right.
You can
history.
shut us down.
I love Facebook. Facebook is good.
Everyone sign up your friends.
So there's probably... Did you see a lot of the videos coming? So this week...
Is it just me or was this everywhere?
It was everywhere, right? It
This
was
is
all
like-
over Facebook, which
this is-
seems ironic.
But
But
it's crazy.
so Zuckerberg, in the wake of all the the data, Cambridge Analytica scandal, that
Just call it Cambridge.
Cambridge,
It's in
Canberra, they spoke about. You guys spoke about a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah. So
You
he's
did.
been called in front of Congress to kind of defend his company and their role. So did you see the footage of him? He looked pretty sincere.
I
Looked
watched
good in a suit. Never seen it.
I watched highlights.
I watched
Yeah.
heaps of this. I thought it was super interesting.
Yeah. So he's been called It's for 2 days.
He is classic.
He's a robot, It's so good.
I love him.
Have you watched his... This is kind of off topic.
Just off topic.
But
yeah.
have you seen his VR thing where they go to the third world country that's been ravaged by like a disaster?
No.
It's hilarious
Mm.
because he can't show emotion, but he's trying to like show this third world country. But he's talking about how brilliant the technology of Facebook is, and
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Good.
I'll link it to you later. Don't worry.
Anyway.
So this is the Cambridge Analytica fake news that's been posted all over Facebook that have been Russia have been using to help meddle in the elections across the world. This has been in a whole, and then the idea of the people's right to privacy with their metadata, with the data that's collected on Facebook on the things they like, the places they visit, the things they may comment on, etc., their reactions. So this has been a huge event. 2 days in front of Congress at Capitol Hill. They've had all these congressmen grilling him on questions about, I think you would have seen these sound bites of like, oh, would you be happy to tell us what hotel you stayed in last night? And he's like, no, I wouldn't.
Gotcha.
Would you care to tell us who you messaged over the last week? He goes, no, not on this this forum. I wouldn't like to. So a lot of the congressmen have kind of used it for this kind of soundbitey kind of situation to make them gotcha.
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of thing.
the
Gotcha.
all the bits. I only watched a 10-minute highlight version, so I might be a
Mm.
little bit off in this. But
10 minutes longer than I watched.
every question they asked, I was just like, man, they are really asking the wrong questions.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So that was the thing, right? So if you watch enough of this, and you get the feeling that these congressmen don't understand how Facebook
They have
works.
no idea how Facebook works.
What kind of data's collected, what that data's used for.
Yeah.
Like some people were like, if I message someone in WhatsApp.
No, he said if I email someone in WhatsApp.
Oh, no.
And this
Do you
was
know,
on the younger side
Yeah.
for these guys.
Do you guys
He's wrong in 6 words.
use that data and sell it to advertisers who I say something about Black Panther? Will I get an ad for Black Panther in Facebook the next day or something like that?
Yeah.
So and he's saying no. Look, WhatsApp is encrypted, so we can't. And he asked the question again.
Does Facebook own WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
And another hilarious question was this guy. He was trying to catch him out. He was like, if people don't pay for your product, how does Facebook make money? It's like,
He sounds like the guy's walked upon the best idea in the world and he wants to go do the same thing. Right?
we run ads.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So that's another question, right? Like, what do they do with their business model?
It's the right question. It's just asked in the wrong way.
Wrong way,
because
right?
it's not like the fact he sounds like he's asking it because he's the genius who came up with this.
And they're trying to get him to say yes or no. That's all they want him to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They want to
it's a
answer.
leading question.
Yeah.
It's very loaded.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
It is the right question though. It's like, well, your customer is technically your advertisers, so how do you balance
So where
what they want from you and what your users want?
Mm.
It's very different to how they interview Apple, by the way,
Yeah.
because Apple was on there. I was in front of a panel once about tax,
Yeah.
like how little tax they paid, and the senators were like, "So how much tax do you think would be fair to pay?"
Yeah. Oh, there's similar.
Like it was like What do you think? What do you want to pay?
There's similar stuff in this, right? Where we'll get into it, but all I wanted to say is that so you could see that he was very well coached. Zuckerberg knew what he had to say. His talking points were strong. All those people who were behind him who were smiling and laughing throughout the thing, all probably his personal aides.
Isn't that Jonah Hill on the right?
Absolutely.
Looks like it. Who kind of coached him what to say. He, like, one of the senators from
and Andy Samberg.
San Francisco was saying, did you mislead your users?
Yeah.
And he never used the word, he never admitted that because that breaches their law about privacy. It's about that he deceived them.
Yeah.
His big line was, look, we have made mistakes. We've grown exponentially over these years, and there's a lot of things that I regret. One was talking about Russia's meddling into 2016. That was probably saying that's the biggest mistake we've made as a company.
All the fake accounts.
They're actively working with Robert Mueller and the special counsel to the FBI about this.
The thing that I got confusing was they kept asking the questions, and they always wanted a yes or no answer, but they were asking such complicated questions, and he never just said yes or no, which I kind of commend him for.
He did to some
the
basic
one
ones.
the one where he's like, "Are you listening to us through the microphone?" He said no, and I was like, "Yeah, right."
They were pretty adamant on that.
Yeah.
If
that, I know Google definitely does. I'm trying to think if Facebook's ever done it, but yeah, either or. I forgot where I was going with that. So
he also said that someone said, "Did your data get taken in this thing?" He's like, "Yes."
Yeah. So it's interesting because with this Russia stuff, like he was saying, we're in an arms race with Russia. There's companies in Russia who are employed to do these kinds of things, to make these fake news, to create these accounts, to undermine the political system over here. And we have to create AI systems that are able to identify them, verify them. And, we're working so hard to do all of this.
Everyone keeps talking about the advertising, right? But isn't the stuff that the Russians did not advertising? Didn't they just create fake articles that people then shared voluntarily?
Yeah, that's the fake news kind of stuff. So I think the Cambridge Analytica, what they did is they created that backdoor, got all your data, and if you use this app,
it wasn't an IQ, it was a personality test, I think, or something like that. Yeah. Which then had access to your friends stuff.
Yeah. So I think what that does is, depending on that, and then on that data, it would kind of, all the people who had data on it sent you were this kind of person, you were left to centre, kind of this leaning, these are the issues that matter to you.
I think the numbers were, in Australia, I think 300,000 people's data got stolen, and it was a couple hundred people took the test.
Yep.
So it's kind of a lesson in degrees of separation. If you can take 1 degree of separation of people's stuff, then you get a lot of people.
So and then, they used advertising in that way to kind of gear you towards what matters to you in the election. I think that was the idea behind.
Was it to do with the election, though?
Well, that was Steve Bannon is involved with this company as well.
I just thought it was mainly through shares. Like, I don't really see a lot of political advertising on. I see a lot of shoe advertising and clothing.
But advertising could be like an article that's sponsored on your feed.
Right, okay.
That's like...
Not
that's
necessarily
not
telling you to buy something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But that does have, like, an article will have, like, 3 million views, so it's more reputable.
I remember what I was meant to ask before.
Yeah.
What is the point of this Congress meeting?
It's a good question. So I guess they're just trying to... Look, it's probably to grill him, to try and think of what they can do.
A lot of what they were asking was... Like, do you think we need legislation? Do we need laws around this? Do you need to be regulated by the government, not self-regulated?
Well, and that's what they're saying. They're like, usually what we did in the past is we would let tech companies regulate themselves because essentially we don't know how to, I think. And we don't have the expertise to do that.
And none of them came with, like, good examples of legislation or anything like that.
His answer to that was pretty good, too. He was always like, it's a discussion we need to have, and I want to have it. Yeah. And they're like, do you want the law or not? And he's like, it's a discussion we need to have. Like, I'm not just going to say yes.
Yeah. And his big thing was, I would love legislation. I would love the right
legislation. Because I think it's interesting... Because in Europe, there's a lot of data privacy laws that are going to be in place, and it's more about protecting the individual as opposed to in America. I think it's more about protecting companies, etc.
Yeah.
So that people don't have the same rights. So after this Congress thing, because I think the congressmen and women weren't well versed in it, didn't come with good, as you said, kind of legislation ideas. Because the question is, can we let a company govern itself when there is profits? That's their end goal, right? So I think no, you can't. You have to have laws. You have to have something to kind of regulate them, because otherwise they're going to do what they're going to do. The interesting one was, he said, "Are you a monopoly?" And look, there's companies that are similar to Facebook, do little aspects of it, but I would say it is. If the whole conglomerate of Facebook and everything it provides,
and they own basically every competitor.
Yeah.
The funny thing about this one is I feel like Google's getting away scot-free when they do exactly the same thing. And if anything, they might even be bigger.
Yeah. I think it's just because of this scandal that's happened. So Congress were like, we have to do something.
Google's specifically more advertising, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like trying to sell you stuff.
The way they advertise to you is the same.
But if I was like a Russian who was trying to influence an election, could I use Google in any way?
Google owns YouTube.
Yes. Did YouTube do that stuff?
I
feel like their feed.
Well, I guess it's
slightly different though.
I guess it's
the way they advertise.
I think
at
Google
related media, related videos.
I guess where they didn't stuff up is they don't let other people use them the way Facebook got used.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's mainly the Russian thing. We wouldn't be having this conversation if the Russian thing didn't happen. Everyone knew that everyone is taking your cookies like from your internet browsing and is using them to try and target advertising.
Yeah.
Like that happens on every single website you go on. That's how the internet is paid for.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'd be here without the Russian thing. I think that's the thing that's really gotten people upset. It's like you've allowed people to undermine our democracy, our way of like government through your platform.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. But
totally.
Yeah, they've already made changes, haven't they, to the way the feed works and stuff that was supposed to come
I keep getting notifications on privacy policies and all this crap, and I'm like, I don't care.
Most people don't read it right.
I think it was more
the way they present it, they need to.
News, though.
Yeah.
Less than privacy, it was more like, how do we stop people just blatantly lying?
I got one today because I run ads through some things, and it just talked about the ad policies completely changed. I didn't read it.
Another one of the questions was, will you change so that people have to give permission for you to have their data?
Yeah.
Which they already do.
Yeah.
Because you have to agree to any
user,
the user agreement.
Yeah.
And that's a big complaint that they had. It's all doesn't make any sense. There's so many words. It's so long. No one reads it.
Yeah.
But we all consent to it, and then when we are linking Facebook to any other app or anything, you have to click OK.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Yeah. So I guess like that's a legislation they should have said, look, we want to make the user agreements better, more readable, clearer to people. And that's something that Congress should have brought up to them, I think.
That's difficult though.
Yeah.
Because they're legal agreements.
Yeah, yes and no. I don't think
I've ever seen a simple contract
because I don't think
Bart wrote to give his soul to.
I don't think people. I think it can be done, and with proper research and what people want and what people it can be done. Because they do it in clinical trials with consent processes.
Yeah.
Like it's done. Do you know what I mean? And it's done in communities that don't speak English. That maybe I just sat in a talk today about how do you get consent in an Aboriginal community, right? So it's a big piece of work,
very different sort of
but
job.
I think these companies don't have any interest in doing it. So unless they're forced to, they won't do it.
And that's why we're here, not in court, because it's legal. People agreed to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He hasn't broken the law.
So do you think the legislation needs to be to make user agreements bloody readable?
I think one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think people
I think it's an idea.
them?
If you gave me a 10 bullet point thing, I would love that.
Yeah. And if you want to read more, you can read more, but they need to summarize it in some way, shape, or form. And it can be done, I think. So I think
even if it's there's gonna be more fine print, and they're gonna sneak stuff in.
True.
Yeah.
Well, Apple does that. Apple makes it so that even if you used to buy music on the iTunes store, you didn't own it. Or anything you bought off them, they technically never owned anything that you bought off Apple.
You can't
software-wise
summarize. You can't put such a complicated thing into 2 sentences.
I think you can. I think the issue is that it's about like their attitude towards the user agreements is about risk. We're protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not about we're informing our users.
But
we're protecting ourselves.
That's literally what every company in the world has agreements for.
Well, I think for me something needs to change there. But look, that's a hard job.
I think the privacy settings.
Yep.
That's always been really hard to navigate. I remember multiple times making it so that taking my phone number off there.
Yeah, and then go back
every
on.
time you'd update it, it would reset it so that it was back on.
Yeah,
or
like, when the app
updated.
Yeah.
Or like trying to go to the privacy settings through the app, really hard.
Yeah.
Takes you to a weird page that's like a web page, not part of the app.
Yeah.
And then there's so many options that you have to go through and tick individually to actually change your privacy settings. It's actually very difficult to change it.
Yeah.
I don't think should be that difficult.
Yeah. So just on that point, I think Facebook has come out of this quite strong. Zuckerberg's looked very good in front of, I guess, congressmen and women who don't really know what they're talking about.
I think everyone who knew how Facebook works probably thought those senators are idiots.
Yeah. So their stocks have risen for the first time, I think, since these scandals have kind of come about.
Yeah, everyone's just talking about Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's been
Facebook Blue on the TV.
There's been a lot of critics about it saying, look, it was pretty a weak performance. They didn't really provide anything. He's really well coached.
Depends which side you're
on. And there needs to be more done. So the idea is, if they say they're auditing. So there's a one critic who wrote this book called the Black Box Society. So it's about all this idea about how companies are using our metadata to advertise, etc. He's a professor of law at the University of Maryland, and essentially saying, look, Facebook, they're quite secretive at this top level. All their executives, none of their things are minuted or anything like that. They knew about stuff a lot before the public was known. Zuckerberg has a history of just this apology kind of tour. He does. So 2010, Farmville, there was a privacy breach with Farmville users. He apologised, but nothing happened. Same thing went on because there was no legislation, no governance. So there needs to be a governance change in the company for something to happen. And and they're saying, look, we've audited tens of thousands of other apps. So there's other thousands of apps out there that could have done the exact same thing that we don't know about.
Every single personality test or IQ tests
probably
that you've ever seen on Facebook did this thing.
Or which potato are you, or something like that. You know?
Well, this is actually it's actually been happening though, because Ev, who comes to the podcast sometimes, has this app that downloads Facebook Live and uploads it straight to YouTube. It's one of the things we do at our job, and it just stopped working. And she contacted support, and the support said every third-party app has to be manually checked.
Yep.
So imagine how many bloody third-party apps they actually have. There'd be millions.
Crazy.
Yeah, imagine how well they're checking them, though.
I don't know.
Do you reckon they're just going, stuff it, just get rid of it?
Well,
hard to say.
I think they have to. They've got enough resources to pay people to audit things, so they need to make it a priority for them.
Yeah, but they need to make revenue too.
I think they make enough revenue.
Right. Do they?
Yeah.
They have valuation, but they're not like...
How do they make money? No one pays.
Advertising.
Oh.
Sarah says Pinterest just updated their terms of service as well, and she's annoyed that you didn't mention her at all.
Oh,
I did in the pre-show.
Just quickly.
You're a pre-show kind of girl.
How do you guys feel about the Zuck? Because I thought he did really well here. I don't understand why everyone thinks he's a alien lizard man.
He's a look weird looking.
Like, I feel like he came out, he said, I am fully responsible, I made this company, I run this company.
That's the point on he's well coached.
I think it's more the tone and the way his face works.
He presented very well.
He's presenting really well.
He needs to grow a beard like Jonah Hill.
Yeah, he does have a baby face, doesn't he?
It's just too clean. It looks like he's just pop. You know, and is it Total? Which is the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where the guy keeps cloning himself?
Sixth Day.
Sixth Day. That's the one with the rail.
Where they check their eyes to see if they're a clone or not, and they have like a little dot on them, like Total Recall or something. It's not Total Recall, but anyway, he looks like a clone that's not quite finished growing everything yet.
Nice.
I feel.
Well, on that mean note.
Sorry, that was a bit mean. But I think that's he's got a kind of unsettling appearance.
I'm into it.
You're into it?
Yeah, I'm
You're
a fan
into the
of
Zuck's
I'm into
appearance?
The Zuck. Yeah.